If you can't go left, you can always try right. If you can't go right, you can always try forward. But no matter what you do, we'll always create a memory because you are special.
Hello and welcome to RBD, the Milestone Whisperers. I'm your host, Dr. Rashida. We're trying to get a little bit comfortable because this episode is going to be a little bit different because you all know me as Dr. Rashida, but you know I wear a lot of hats, but ultimately I'm just Rashida. And today I'm going to share a little bit with you all about how I found my way back to Rashida, um, back to myself. So I know I talked before about how um, back during COVID, I was really overwhelmed, and even beyond COVID, I was really stressed, and iron deficiency anemia caused me to have changes to my body. Um, but I want to get into like me personally, just a little bit. So I've always wanted to be in the medical field. I've always been career driven. Um, I'm family oriented as well, but I didn't see myself loving being a wife and being a mom so much. I was just all ready to be this career woman. And then I met a guy. Well, I met him while I was in school, actually. Fell in love. We didn't do the traditional first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby. We actually had, excuse me, we actually had our first two children before we got married. But anyway, life just began taking a fast, sped up, full fledged, all these hits at one time. So I finished PT school. I worked for about a year. And I was enjoying making money, and I started traveling and things like that. But I ended up getting pregnant with our first son, and at that point we weren't living together. We lived separately, but we decided that we would get a house, all that. My husband is from Haiti, so he's a citizen and all that, but he's from Haiti. And in the midst of us having our first child, he also brought his mom from Haiti. So we bought a house. I had my mother-in-law, well, she was my boyfriend's mom at that time, but and a new baby and all that. And I was still building up my career. So I was, working a lot in terms of like making networking and getting my feet wet in the field of physical therapy. Um, and I didn't realize it, but I wasn't enjoying just being Rashida. I love being um, a partner. I love being a mom. I love being a daughter. I love being all that, but I really wasn't doing anything for myself. I never really had like a lot of hobbies. I wasn't a sports person, an athlete. I wasn't like artsy. So the only thing that I used to do when I was younger was journal. And I stopped that. I stopped journaling before my dad got sick. Actually, my last entry was like, my dad and I had like an argument because of, I think he was just mean because he was sick, but it was an argument. And my journal entry, I discussed how I felt bad raising my voice at my dad. Um, so I won't go into what the argument was about, but we resolved it anyway. But that was like before we found out he was sick and everything. But anyway, for some reason, my journal took an abrupt stop, and I didn't document him being sick. I didn't document going through school. I didn't document any of my feelings during that time. And when I was a younger teenager, and I read those journal entries, I used to document everything, and I was serious about it. I would put the time. I would have like little hearts when I would sign out. Well, not sign out, but because it was handwritten. But anyway, fast forward, have a second son, have a daughter, get married, have a daughter, and I'm just going through the motions. But I love my kids. Like, if you were to go back into my social media posts and things, I will always post about my kids. All these lovey-dovey posts about my man, about my kids, about loving my job. But it was nothing about Rashida. And when COVID hit, and when that stress started, I just still went through the motions. Go back to when I went back to work full time, and I took on an extensive amount of patients and clients. And I was busy, and I, like, when my kids were back in school, face to face at school too, I was like all over the city too. And Philadelphia is like busy with early intervention. So I had cases. We could pick out, as an independent contractor, we could pick our own zip codes. But I just was like, send me anywhere. I need money. I need to recoup student loans, crazy and all that. So recoup from the loss of COVID. So my breaking point came. And what year was that? My son was in fourth grade. My younger son was in fourth grade, and he just graduated sixth grade. So about 2 years ago, I hit my breaking point. And what happened was that, so our whole routine always has been that I do the drop-offs and my husband does the pickups from school. Even during daycare time, mostly during the daycare, when they were in daycare. But this particular day, I was really far away from home. Not really distance-wise, but traffic-wise, and it was the heart of, it was the peak of rush hour. And my son, that was in fourth grade at the time, he had this teacher that was a bully. And I had been addressing that with the school, trying to get him transferred to a different teacher. However, they weren't granting that. In this particular day, the teacher kept him and a couple other students after school without informing the parents, without, I guess she told them it was because they were being disruptive that day. But anyway, my son had an anxiety attack around that because he wasn't able to leave school. And my husband FaceTimed me, and I was like almost an hour away because of the amount of traffic. It's usually like maybe 40 minutes away from home, but it was like an hour or some change away because of the rush hour. And my son was hysterical, and I just felt broken because I was not there for my son. And that was the point where I said, I need to get back to myself. Stop working so much. Stop just being so disconnected with who I am. Just stop going with the flow and just being so just busy. Where I wasn't giving more to myself, and therefore I wasn't able to give to those other roles that I have. So that sparked something in me where I had that mom guilt, horrible mom guilt. And it was because I felt like I wasn't there for my son. I wasn't there for my family, but I really wasn't there for myself, because why am I having mom guilt for doing a career choice that I love and providing for my family? And it was just a lot. And I just decided at that time that I was going to cut down my workload. And I actually ended up pulling my son out of school until they granted him a transfer to a different classroom. So he was out of school for almost 2 weeks. I took him to counseling. Um, we just, my husband and I just wanted him out of that classroom environment because it was stressful. Um, and in retrospect, I just, like, my son never said anything like, well, mommy, you wasn't there for me. And my kids never said, mommy, why you work so much? Or, mommy, we want to see you after school. I mean, like, they enjoyed our time in the morning for drop off. Like, we had like a inspirational song that we would sing every morning for drop off. But like, I was working so late that a lot of times I would just not get home until it was time to do dinner and homework and showers, and that was it. It was not bonding time. It wasn't time for me to decompress from being a PT, Dr. Rashida, to being mom and wife. It was just like I was going, and I started. And when I think about it, I started really not being there for my family in the way that I should have, and it was because I had that mom guilt and that wife guilt and that daughter guilt and all that. So this milestone that I'm talking about is getting back to myself. And you ever hear the saying, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. So you can't be there for others if you're not there for yourself. So even though I had mom guilt and wife guilt and all the other guilts, I really had Rashida guilt because I was like, I don't ever do anything for myself anymore. Y'all know I love Zumba. So that was the first thing that I started doing. I started going back to the gym. I started doing Zumba. I pulled out my journal, and that journal was old. It's from when I was a teenager. So it's pretty old. So I started a new journal, and my therapist actually has suggested that I just start picking up hobbies. So to try to figure out like what things do I like as a middle-aged woman that I kind of had like a chunk of time of like not knowing what I like. And it's a journey. So even though it's a milestone of like getting back to myself, finding myself, and all that, is definitely an ongoing journey because I still work a little bit more than what I would like to. But most days after school, I'm home with my kids. Sometimes because the boys are, well, one is about to be a teenager, but the other one is a teenager. Sometimes they're just like, okay, mom, like, we talked enough. Like, can I play my game or can I go outside play with my friends? Blah blah. So I think sometimes it's like overkill for them, but I just really take that time to myself. Like I haven't read a good book recently. However, I am so much better with just taking time to myself and not feeling guilty about it. And my family knows that mommy can't be good for us if she's not good for herself. So they give me that space. They are so good with that. And sometimes I have to remind them like, mommy just needs some time to be alone, reflect, exhale, ask daddy or figure it out on yourself. Don't come to me with a million things. And same thing with work. Like I used to be that PT that if there was a case, I'd be like, sure, I'll take it. I say no now. I say no because my peace of mind and my sanity and, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, it's just better for me to be more present with who I am. So some of the things that, the fun things I've done, I haven't taken a solo trip because I'm a scaredy cat and I just don't know if I'll ever be brave enough to do a solo trip on my own without any family there. So I don't know if I would do that, but I've had a hotel room night by myself. And actually it was kind of not really by myself because my daughter was invited to a hotel birthday party. And so the compromise for us to have her do an overnight because we don't do overnights. Like I've had their friends, like some of their friends, like do overnights here, but we prefer to have our kids sleep at home. So the compromise was for me to get a hotel room myself on the same floor, but that was my first time being in a hotel room by myself. And I ordered all this food. I just picked out. I did not bring any work with me. And it was just one night. And it was just so crazy because that morning I'm like, okay, I gotta go get my baby. I gotta go see somebody. I gotta talk to somebody. And I actually ended up like kind of helping with a group of kids, like helping get them down to the cafeteria for their breakfast and stuff like that. But that was nice. So I said I might do something like that. I've been trying now that my nails are growing back. I've been trying to do be more intentional with um, getting my manis and petties. I'm not really like a fan of those though. I don't like people touching my feet. My feet are ticklish, but I roll with it because it's self care. Some more self care that I've done. I try different recipes because we're pescatarians, but sometimes I just want to figure out like how can we just do even non seafood meals, just plant based meals. So I try out recipes. My dad was a baker, so sometimes I'll get in there and I'll try to bake something, but I have not baked something from scratch because I'm not that good yet. But like things like that, I'm open to do to fulfill myself outside of wife and mom and daughter and all that stuff. So it's even though it's not like finding myself is like an ongoing thing, um, overcoming mom guilt and wife guilt and all the other guilts is an ongoing thing. But I think that this milestone of finding myself is something that I've achieved. And it's really nice because I want other people to realize that it's something that we all go through. It's something that we all, women and men. But I'm more relatable to women and middle-aged women. But when you're just going through the motions every day, sometimes you forget about yourself, and you have to love yourself. And it's like you loving yourself makes it so much better for those other people that you love, those other people in your life, your family, the kids that I work with. They love me, and it's like because I'm happier. I am I'm doing so many things to just make sure that I don't forget about myself and loving me. So leave me some comments or suggestions of other things I can try, hobbies, things that I can try. I actually tried to learn how to swim, but I'm still afraid of that. Um, any other things? I don't really drink much, so I did do wine tasting before, and um, I like that. But like other things that I could do to figure out like what exactly I like, you know. I'm not super adventurous, so I'm not going to do like any like skydiving or zip lining and things like that. But things that's on the ground, I'll try. So I hope this episode, is, I'm all over the place, but I hope this episode just shows you all that it's common to lose yourself. Mom guilt is something that we all suffer with, and wife guilt too. I'm going to eventually have my husband on to talk about a milestone that we achieved last year in our marriage. So stay tuned for that. But I felt that this was a good way for me to let you guys know that breaking points are real. Mental health is real. And the the journey of overcoming it is what's so beautiful. Not necessarily that milestone of getting back together. Like just the result of it is not what is as important as that journey to get back to who you are. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes from me and my family and guests about milestones and their journeys to get to them. Check out my social media, RBV, the Milestone Whisperers. My professional page, my PT page is RBV Physical Development. I'm on TikTok. I have a link tree with resources. My husband and I recently did a couple stretch guide where we did it to coincide with our anniversary, but it's basically like a couple stretch guide where I'm describing some stretches that you could do as a couple. So check that out on my link tree. That will be linked as well. And until the next one, thank you for watching. Bye.
If you can't go left, you can always try right. If you can't go right, you can always try forward. But no matter what you do, we'll always create a memory because you are special.